I welcome you to this channel. Today's like goal is 7 likes, so I hope you would contribute to it. The air crackles with tension. Taeyeon's lungs burn as he sprints desperately through the chaos, his eyes fixed on Ricky's figure ahead. His voice pierces the noise, trembling with urgency. Move away, Ricky, get back. Ricky turns her head, eyes flickering as the portal shimmered behind her, distorted, humming with arcane energy. A monstrous, shadowy hand erupts through the portal's edge, massive, clawed, with veins of dark magic pulsing ominously. It clutches Ricky's waist, squeezing with inhuman strength. Blood sprays out, splattering the ground. As her body is forcibly dragged, Orgel's voice echoes cold and commanding, reverberating through the chaos. Where do you think you're going? Return. The fight had just begun. He intensifies his grip, veins bulging on his arm, as he pulls Ricky back, the portal rippling with unstable energy. Her scream is muffled, filled with pain and despair. After saying this, he releases her. Her body plummets through the air, falling from a dizzying height. Taeyeon's heart leaps into his throat. Without hesitation, he lunges forward, reaching out desperately, catching her just before she hits the ground. He cradles her fragile, battered form, bones shattered like glass, internal injuries bleeding profusely. His hands tremble as he examines her, fighting the rising tide of panic. She won't survive unless she gets immediate help, he mutters, voice strained with helplessness. His mind races, calling Rosaria, seeking aid. But doubt gnaws at him. Would Rosaria, with all her power and secrets, be able to save her, even if she wanted to? While he hesitates, Ricky's eyelids flutter weakly. A faint, tired smile curls on her lips. It's okay, she whispers, voice barely audible. I always knew this could happen. Her eyes close, as if surrendering to fate. Overwhelmed by a storm of emotion, fear, guilt, rage clenches his fists. His aura flares uncontrollably, burning with raw, unfiltered energy. I promised I'd save you, he growls, voice cracked but resolute. His entire being radiates a fierce determination to defy death itself. Ricky's eyes flutter open, one last time. She musters her remaining strength, whispering softly, one last favor, absorb my skill. Her voice is a fragile thread. Let me continue serving humankind, even in death. Moved beyond words, Taeyeon's aura erupts outward, blinding, fierce, and desperate. With a mental cry, he reaches into her essence. Feeling her last plea echo within him, she thinks to herself, I've lived a life without regrets. Except one. I wish I had asked him out on a date. The scene shifts abruptly to a fierce battlefield. Cody is locked in a brutal duel with Min Ji-hong, a towering figure cloaked in dark, swirling magic. Sparks fly as their weapons clash, illuminating the night with fiery flashes. Min's strikes are relentless, each blow pushing Cody back, sweat pouring down his brow. Min's eyes gleam with cruel amusement. Get out of the way, Min snarls, voice like a thunderclap. You're wasting your time. They're gone. Cody's gaze is burning with unwavering resolve. His grip tightens on his weapon. That's not happening. He retorts fiercely, launching a counterattack. His blade cuts through the air, striking Min's defenses, forcing him to stumble backward. The ground beneath them cracks and shatters with the force of their clash, sending debris flying into the darkness. Min's expression darkens further. Taeyeon and Ricky have already been captured by Orgel, he states grimly, voice laced with mockery. I stopped sensing their mana a long time ago. It's a shame. I really wanted to fight Taeyeon again. Hearing this, Cody's eyes narrow. His stance becomes even more aggressive. Then I'll make sure they're safe, he declares, slashing wildly, forcing Min to retreat. The ground next to them cracks. The voice of the Archduke can be hard, is calling for Min, his contractor. Immediately Min's reluctant to leave, but he's got no choice now. This is just the beginning. His voice echoes ominously. The world will soon burn in an unquenchable flame sparked by me, Min Ji-hong, of the Malignant Guild. With that, Min vanishes into the darkness, leaving Cody clutching his mask, his mind spinning with suspicions, fears, and unyielding resolve. The scene shifts to outside. Cody was talking to 2 men, informing them about the situation and what had happened to Taeyeon and Ricky. Incidentally, they spot Taeyeon approaching, carrying Ricky's lifeless body. His face is gaunt, eyes hollow, yet determined. The weight of loss hangs heavily on him, as if he carries the entire world on his shoulders. One of the men softly asks, did she die peacefully? Taeyeon nods quietly, voice trembling. Yes, she's gone. He pauses, voice thick with emotion, tears threatening to spill. I'm sorry I couldn't save her. The others are overwhelmed, grief washing over them. Tears stream down their faces, some clutching their chests as if to hold the pain. Cody, with a heavy heart, steps forward. I'll take her back. His voice is firm, filled with resolve, but Taeyeon refuses, stopping him. No, he says softly but firmly. I will do it. He looks at Cody with steady eyes. Lead me to the United States Player Association, he explains with quiet conviction. I have a duty to carry her final message, to honor her sacrifice. At the headquarters, the scene is somber, filled with an air of solemn respect. The chairman, greets Taeyeon warmly, his expression filled with gratitude. Thank you for bringing her back. One player, voice tinged with impatience, remarks, we're all busy. If you're calling us here, it must be important. Another, with a mocking tone, snickers and hits the table with his hand. He agrees with what was said. He states that they were too busy and were forced to sit here. So whatever Taeyeon had to say, more be worth ETH, then further mocks him by calling him a failure. Tensions rise. Cody, unable to contain his anger, demands, was that insult meant for Meswell? The other player stammers, trying to explain himself, but Taeyeon remains silent. Instead, he channels Ricky's power, activating her rare skill. The memory replay. Soft blue, glowing aura surrounds him as he concentrates. The room falls silent. He speaks, voice steady and filled with emotion. Now, you will hear her last words. Let's start the chapter. Taeyeon begins explaining the skills he obtained from Ricky, his voice calm but tinged with reverence. I managed to acquire 3 skills. From her, he says softly, eyes distant as if recalling memories. The first is the high-level monster's heart. He pauses, choosing his words carefully. It's a skill that allows me to create mana stones and manipulate mana at will. Most of Ricky's other abilities stemmed from this one core skill. Her understanding of mana was unparalleled. He looks around at the others, his expression tinged with respect. The reason she seemed so fixated on the difference between monsters and humans, probably because she had this skill. It gave her insight, beyond normal comprehension. He then continues, voice steady. The second skill is portal. A flicker of a smile crosses his face. She used it to get us away from Orgel, with set coordinates. She could travel through dimensions instantaneous movement across space. And the last, he says, voice lowering slightly, is memorize. This skill lets her see and access anything related to memories. It's why she was able to act as an investigator for the player associations. She could piece together past events, uncover secrets hidden deep within memory. A tense silence follows before the president of the U.S. Player Association, eyes wide, with panic, blurts out, memorize. That's a unique skill of Ricky's. How in the world were you able to use it? Taeyeon's expression remains composed. Ricky was the best at mana manipulation. She seemed to know how to transfer skills to others. He pauses, voice calm, but with a hint of regret. That might have been an exaggeration. Honestly, I think she simply understood mana better than anyone. In his mind, he mentally apologizes to Ricky for lying. Couldn't tell them about the predation skill just yet. Cody, eyes filled with curiosity, leans forward. What exactly are you planning to show us with her memory? Taeyeon nods, activating memorize. The room suddenly erupts into a blinding brilliant light that causes everyone to instinctively shield their eyes. The glow pulses, illuminating the room in stark white. When the light subsides, a vivid scene unfolds. Ricky's recorded investigation of Orgel's castle. The room seems to fade away as the memory takes over. A massive ancient painting appears. On a stone wall, inscribed with strange symbols and runes, the language of monsters. The scene is tense, mysterious, the writing is complex, requiring a deep understanding of the language of monsters to decipher. But what catches everyone's attention is the arrangement of figures sitting beside Orgel. The scene reveals Beastmaster Orgel, the ruler of the abyss of Nightmare Rosaria, her face shadowed in sinister vampire Lord Igmon, eyes glowing with hunger king of the demons Beelzebub, his presence commanding and terrifying dragon Lord Hazard, scales shimmering in the dim light Beast King Jormungand, Serpentine, an imposing fallen angel Lucifer, wings spread wide, an aura of darkness around him. The narration continues. These 7 archdukes are locked in a constant struggle, fighting over territories, maintaining a fragile balance in the abyss. A heavy silence follows. But Ricky's voice echoes softly in the memory, who sits above them on the throne. Suddenly, the scene shifts. Ricky's voice fades as the image of Archduke appears, who questioned her about what she was doing there. The room falls into stunned silence. The revelation hits the room like a thunderbolt. Cody whispers to himself. It wasn't clear before just how strong they truly are, but now thanks to the sacrifices of the players it's all laid bare. The president's face tightens, eyes blazing with a mixture of fear and helplessness. Even a single archduke ascending to earth, he murmurs, would be enough to destroy it. He turns to the others, voice trembling. Up until now, we only knew of Orgel, Igmon, and Lucifer. But now, there are 7 archdukes, and possibly someone even more powerful lurking in the shadows. A collective sense of dread settles over the room. Scene shifts to Orgel's castle. Min stands before Orgel, who is seated on his throne, his expression inscrutable. The room hums with an ominous energy. Min, trying to sound casual, asks, is it all over now? Orgel, have you achieved your goal? I can't believe that the Archduke of the Abyss would be injured and recure his help. Orgel reclines slightly, a faint smirk on his face. I could have regenerated on my own, but I disliked waiting. Patience is a virtue I lack. He then fixes his gaze on Min, voice cold and commanding. And you, Min, don't forget your place. Min raises his hand in surrender, bowing slightly. My apologies, Lord Orgel. Min then asks Orgel, why are you so eager to pursue Taeyeon? Orgel replies because he possesses a certain skill one that's been granted by someone very important. Orgel's eyes narrow. That someone is the one who ascended the abyss. King of the Abyss. Min's voice trembles. The King of the Abyss. Orgel nods, voice low. Yes, but he has changed. He's no longer the same as before. He points sharply at Min. And now, I have a new order for you. You are to go to Earth. Min's eyes widen. To Earth, Orgel's expression turns cold. Yes, you will stir chaos, incite conflict, destroy stability, and you will find the key. The King of the Abyss's key, which is Taeyeon. He pauses, then adds with deadly intent, bring him to me. I want to take that key for myself, to rule the Abyssond, to rise above all. Min kneels swiftly. Your wish is my command. I will do everything you ask. He looks determined. Back to Taeyeon. He questions the president of the United States Player Association. Voice urgent. What will you do now? The president hesitates, then responds. We'll hold a meeting to decide. This is too big for any one nation. Taeyeon presses. Just the US. It's bigger than that. Ricky wasn't working for just one country. She wanted to protect everyone. The president's face tightens. If we revealed this to the world, it could trigger chaos and uncontrollable panic. But it's also an opportunity, Taeyeon insists, to unite us all. Ricky would have wanted us to stand together, not fall apart. He looks at the others, pleading silently for understanding. After a pause, the president nods slowly. We'll share this information through the World Player Association, but be prepared for upheaval. Taeyeon then mentions, while examining Ricky's memories through Memorize, I saw a strange light deep in the building's basement. The atmosphere thickens. One of the officials whispers, Taeyeon is already one of our closest allies. Hearing this, the president gestures for him to come along. They descend via elevator, and the president begins explaining. Humanity has undergone a transformation after contact with the abyss. When people started awakening, they gained access to rare resources, things we never thought possible. He continues, but what most don't realize is that the awakening of humanity and the discovery of the abyss didn't happen simultaneously. The abyss was initially a nightmare and uncontrollable hellscape, but after something was pulled from the ocean depths, it became a land of opportunity. He points to a large, sealed chamber containing a glowing body. The fluid around it shimmers with an unearthly light. We call him No Name, the president states softly, though some might call him God. Officially, we can't label him that. But the truth is, we don't know what he truly is. After he was discovered, the people started awakening. Taeyeon silent, ponders this. God, No Name, isn't he the king? The president adds, with a grave tone, we've never been able to get much from him since the first awakening, but signs are pointing to the possibility that we might learn more now. Suddenly, No Name stirs. The chamber's lights flicker, and 3 terrifying eyes emerge on his forehead. The room plunges into chaos. Everyone instinctively steps back, heart pounding. This was the first time they had seen such a display and awakening of power beyond comprehension. The white, glowing, giant entity, No Name, suddenly opens its eyes. Its eyes snap open with an otherworldly glow. What's happening? The men panic, their voices trembling as chaos erupts around them. This has never happened before. The president exclaims, eyes wide with alarm. Call the research team. Now he orders urgently, his voice cutting through the rising tension. The atmosphere thickens with dread. Taeyeon watches silently, a cold shiver running down his spine. It didn't just open its eyes. Taeyeon whispers to himself, a sinking feeling settling in. This nitrogen monoxide thing, it's looking at us. And then, suddenly, No Name turns its gaze directly at Taeyeon. You're different from the rest. No Name's voice echoes, deep and resonant. Taeyeon's eyes widen in shock. As expected of the one who regressed with the king's power. No Name continues, voice tinged with a strange acknowledgement. Taeyeon realizes, with growing horror, that it spoke, and knew about the king and the regression. It's almost time for the chains of reincarnation to unlock, No Name declares. Ominously, the president, in a panic, shouts, this facility is built with the best of what the US has to offer. His assistant, trembling, urges, we need to get out of here. The president hesitates, voice trembling, I can't leave. This is the most we've seen out of it in decades. Inside, Taeyeon's mind races. Don't they hear what IT said? He thinks desperately. No Name presses further. Do they want to learn the truth? Then, they should release their mana. The king's power. Hearing this, Taeyeon steels himself. I'll stay. The others leave. His assistant panics, voice frantic. What do you plan to do? You won't be safe in here either, even if they're a rank SS player. Taeyeon turns back, determination blazing. I need to check something. Reluctantly, they begin to retreat, knowing the danger is too great to ignore. After they leave, Taeyeon summons the king's power, standing resolute. Now, show me the truth you speak of. No Name responds, voice calm yet commanding. You're brave, key of the king. As they wish. This entity will answer your questions. Taeyeon's brow furrows. I have a lot of questions. But first, where is this information coming from? He presses further. Are you really God? No Name's reply is measured. There's a difference between what they call a god and what I am. But, he admits, there isn't a better word to describe him here. Taeyeon scoffs quietly. A god captured by humans. Seems like you're not quite omnipotent. No Name then states, because, to be specific, I am not a god. I am a fragment of one. He continues. No longer part of a greater puzzle. I lack the power to do anything alone. No Name further says that he only has a general direction. Taeyeon questions direction. What direction would that be? No Name responds. To the place where my whole self lies. Taeyeon frowns, confused. I don't get it at all. So, there's a proper god somewhere. And No Name is the way to him. No Name confirms. That's correct. The reason humans began awakening was for the same purpose, and the reason you, who met the king, also awakened. Taeyeon presses. So, is the king's power the power of God? Why did the king have them regress, and where is he now? Suddenly, Taeyeon is engulfed in a vivid flashback. A gate breaks the scene, shifts to a mysterious alien landscape. Taeyeon's voice echoes. This was New South Korea. But a strange feeling grips him. This place wasn't their dimension. He realizes, this is where the king originally came from. No Name speaks softly, the child born with one of the scattered fragments of God. In the chaos, the king awakens instinctively, driven by his body. Taeyeon thinks to himself, I've seen this in a dream before. No Name continues. He soon conquered the abyss, rising as a king with his 7 archdukes. Taeyeon questions. I don't understand why being drawn to God has anything to do with subjugating those. ArchDukes. No Name explains. After the territorial wars, becoming king of the lower dimension was necessary to reach the next step. What comes after is the inevitable war with the upper realm. He continues. Only after winning the species wars can one challenge God. He elaborates. The king fought against beings of the upper realm with his archdukes, but the upper realm is occupied by beings closer to God than those in the lower realm. Taeyeon listens intently. The king couldn't overcome that gap, even after countless regressions with his ability. Once human, his mind slowly warped, and finally, he realized, he's not the man for the job. He needs someone else to carry the burden. His key. The true meaning, to continue his duty, end this endless war, and reach God. The flashback fades, leaving Taeyeon stunned. Taehoon, shaken but composed, speaks. I still have more questions. Why did God send out his fragments? Why is the king so hell-bent on reaching God? And, why was he chosen? No Name responds. Solemn, the answers are beyond my understanding. He then asks Taeyeon, do you have any other questions? Taeyeon ponders, knowing he must find out himself. No Name then tells him, you have received the powers of the king, not God. Your path isn't bound to his. He takes a deep breath. You can enjoy your life as you wished during your regression. Whether you proceed or not, it's up to you. Elsai. The others observe anxiously. The president laments. He should have stayed. If he had, he could have uncovered more about No Name and helped humanity. Cody reassures them. From what I know, he wouldn't act foolishly without reason. Suddenly, Kim appears in front of them, emerging through Ricky's portal, the skill which he had received from her. The president, panicked, asks, what happened with No Name? Taeyeon's voice is steady. I absorbed No Name. Cody's aura rises, his tone sharp and commanding. Kim Taeyeon, I've respected your ways, but this is a step too far. Don't you think we deserve an explanation? Taeyeon looked at Cody with a serious expression and recounted what happened. When I faced No Name, I heard a voice. When I tried to touch it, following its instructions, I absorbed it. Cody furrowed his brow and asked, is that all? He then inquired, further, what did you talk to No Name about? Taeyeon hesitated, lowering his head slightly. That I can't tell anyone right now. Hearing this, the president snapped, visibly furious. It's useless for you to keep secrets. No Name was a property of the United States. He paused, voice rising, even if he was our closest ally. But before he could finish, Cody cut him off, calmly stating, it's fine. Turning to Taeyeon, Cody asked sharply, what will you do from here? Taeyeon's eyes burned with determination. I'm going to find out what I can do. He then declared his next move. I've delivered Ricky's last words. Now, I'm returning to New South Korea. The president's expression darkened, panic evident, as he shouted, wait, Cody, what are you doing? Stop, Kim Taeyeon. Cody responded with a grim seriousness. Don't you get it? Kim Taeyeon has already surpassed me. There's nothing on this earth that can stop him now. The president's eyes widened in shock. Is that because he absorbed No Name? Cody nodded slowly. No Name chose him. There were countless opportunities to contact No Name, but no one could do what Taeyeon did. He then added, think of it this way. Kim Taeyeon didn't just absorb No Name chose him. In my opinion, we shouldn't anger the man chosen by God. We're now the ones playing catch-up. Soon after, the World Player Association held a press conference announcing the deaths of Ricky Hollies and 4 other SS-ranked players. They also revealed the existence of the 7 archdukes ruling over the abyss. The world mourned the fallen heroes while simultaneously trembling in fear of the archdukes. The scene shifted to Taeyeon's return in Korea. He sat in a high meeting with the president of the South Korean Player Association. The president greeted him solemnly. "I've heard the news. You've been through quite an ordeal." He then asked, "Are you injured?" Taeyeon shook his head. "I'm fine." The president nodded, concern in his voice. "Even if your body's okay, I'm sure you felt terrible." The president then admitted, "Sorry for rushing you while you must have been feeling terrible. But I also heard from you, Ayoung, that you're working in the abyss now. Did those plans change because of the archdukes?" Taeyeon replied calmly, "No, the abyss needs me now, more than ever." Suddenly, an aide from the president's staff interrupted, hesitating before speaking. "Sir, I wasn't sure if I should tell you, but a mysterious plague is spreading across the earth," he explained. "It's causing gray spots to appear on people's skin, along with high fevers. Have you seen anything like this before?" Taeyeon's mind raced. "Those symptoms, it's the same as in my past life." He thought back to the disease that had plagued humanity for so long, the one that emerged from the Chinese dungeon after Venom was killed. He then spoke. "I thought I had stopped it by killing Venom early." The assistant shook his head. "Our pathologists say it's not natural. It seems human-made specifically here in New South Korea. We also have leads linking the malignant guild to it." He continued, "They're not weak, but they shouldn't have the means to create such a disease. Someone must be working with them. The Malignant Guild is a global operation, but their base is here in South Korea. We're trying to root them out." Taeyeon then interrupted and said that there's something I want to ask you as well. He revealed, "I met the leader of the Malignant Guild in Orgel's castle. His name was Min Ji-hong." The room fell silent. "You met Min Ji-hong?" Taeyeon nodded grimly. "Yes, he's now working for Orgel, and he knows me well." The president's face darkened with regret. "He's on the side of monsters now. How low can he go?" Min Ji-hong. The assistant looked hesitant. "Should I tell him?" The president shook his head and said that this was his burden to bear. "I haven't been hiding it from him, I just didn't want to overwhelm him." He paused before continuing. "But now that he knows, I will tell him." He recounted a story from 20 years ago. "Back when I was still an active player, there was a dungeon break in the countryside. I arrived too late then, the monsters had vanished. In their place was an awakened boy, no older than 7, who had lost his parents." He looked at Taeyeon with a heavy heart. It was all unconscious and incredible moment. That boy stopped a B-rank dungeon break all on his own. He then recognized him as Ji-hung, whose talent and anger he saw early on. "I felt responsible for not saving his parents, so I took him in. I trained him intensely, hoping he'd become the savior of South Korea." He sighed wistfully. "He was even more talented than I expected, handling all his training with ease, becoming one of the strongest in Korea before high school. But looking back now, it was all for nothing. I pushed him over the edge." Taeyeon, listening intently, asked, "Where did it all go wrong?" The president explained, "Many conditions had to be met before entering the abyss. But in those days, there was no restrictions. Min Ji-hong could operate as a player from a young age. Many wanted to work with him." He continued, "Despite his talent, his team suffered disaster after disaster. Casualties kept piling up. The Players Association launched an investigation, revealing that Min Ji-hong deliberately drove people to death. When questioned, Ji-hong claimed, 'How can I fight monsters while taking care of the weak?' He believed that surviving made them stronger, thinking he was making them better. But the investigation branded him a criminal. He killed everyone who tried to stop him and escaped. Becoming an international fugitive, the president looked away, regret in his voice. Min Ji-hong, he believed tragedy made him stronger, and he wanted to do the same to others. That's his way of saving the world. And the one who pushed him down that path, I was the one." Taeyeon's expression hardened. "I can't say I wasn't responsible. If you knew he was twisted, you should have kicked his ass. That's what fathers do." He stood up, resolute. "I'll bring him in and give him one last chance." He added, "I don't like his contempt for the weak. I know what it's like to lose everything helplessly." The assistant then asked, "In that case, would you join us?" Taeyeon replied quietly, "I will, but not right away. There are things I need to take care of first." Suddenly, a new status window appeared. After no name showing quest, the countdown to the race wars will begin soon. The scene then shifted. Taeyeon was at the palace of Rosaria. He looked at her and asked, "What was with that expression?" Rosaria smiled softly and asked back, "Was I in that terrible estate?" Taeyeon's mind raced. Was it because of me? He thought of the damage from their fight with Orgel worse than he'd anticipated. Rosaria explained, "I fought against the true form of an archduke. Actually, that was a good outcome." He looked around, curious what happened to my castle. Rosaria replied, "Before I fought Orgel, Igman paid a visit. Annoying bastard," she added with a smirk. "No need to worry. The Archdukes of the Abyss aren't allies. It's my fault for having such a formidable contractor. Taeyeon's tone grew firm. Rosaria, I'll make sure you're never treated like that again. She looked surprised. Contractor, something has changed within you. He nodded. I've met God and learned the truth about the king. He then warned her softly. The race war is coming. Rosaria exclaimed with a mixture of shock and awe. You've met God. How Taeyeon responded in a calm, measured tone. There was a fragment of God in my world as well. I managed to meet one and speak with it. Rosaria looked at him with a mixture of curiosity and suspicion, then softly asked, You told me that even you had the right to know about the king, but there was nothing I could do. But now, everything's changed. Her voice was composed, yet beneath it lay a commanding seriousness. You've reached it. Faster than I expected. Was this fate, or merely coincidence? She leaned in slightly, her gaze piercing. Because of your meddling, everything has been moving ahead of schedule. If you've truly uncovered the truth, then you must understand your own fate now. Her tone grew more strict, more demanding. Seeing you here, standing before me, surely you have an answer. She pressed on, her voice unwavering. You have received the powers of the king, not the god. You are not bound by the same burdens as the rest of us. Her gaze softened just a little, yet her words carried weight. Whether you choose to continue that decision is yours alone. Taeyeon's mind drifted into reflection, his thoughts echoing. In silence, I just wanted to enjoy life at first, he thought. To get even for all those years of frustration as a non-awakened. He shifted his focus inward. Then I wanted to become powerful so I could find true happiness. But as he learned more about the abyss's dark secrets, his perspective began to shift. The more I uncovered, the more I sensed there was a reason, why the king had me regress, and granted me these powers. He was struck by a realization and admiration for his own drive and persistence. But then, a darker truth emerged. My drive, my persistence, it's not just for myself. He understood that the king's true intention was different. The king wants something from me. To use my drive, my persistence for someone else to carry his heavy burden. A shiver ran through him as a thought crystallized. Knowing I have the potential to walk the same path as the king, this realization extended beyond himself, beyond Earth. To protect my world, I will take control of the coming war. Turning to Rosaria, Taeyeon asked with earnest resolve, Lend me your strength. In return, I will raise you to a higher place. Rosaria regarded him with calm, amused admiration, then replied, That was an impressive speech. But remember, you are the key, not the king. Her eyes sharpened. To become as strong as the true king, you have a long road ahead. Suddenly, as if on cue, an unseen force surged through him, causing his rank to skyrocket to SSN, unprecedented. Overwhelming power awakening within him. Rosaria stood abruptly, eyes wide with astonishment. How did you become so powerful? She demanded. Taeyeon smiled with quiet confidence. When I chose to follow the same path as the king, I absorbed a fragment of God. He looked her directly in the eyes, challenging her. Do you still doubt me? Her expression softened into a pleased smile, yet she maintained her serious tone. When I heard that the king wanted to pass his powers to someone else, I opposed it fiercely. There was no one else capable of bearing that burden. But now, she admitted, it seems I was wrong. I had missed this feeling. They sat together, the atmosphere thick with unspoken understanding. Sipping wine as the conversation deepened, Rosaria broke the silence. I am no longer your superior. Then, with a slight smirk, she declared, Contractor, I now acknowledge you as an equal partner. She fixed him with a piercing gaze. With the race war approaching, how much do you truly know? Taeyeon responded without hesitation. Once the territorial wars end, I will become the king. Then, beings from the upper world will attack. That's all I know for certain. He added with conviction. The fragment of God wasn't very talkative. Rosaria, with a teasing glint in her eyes, said, You lied to me. Taeyeon, taking a measured sip, replied smoothly, If I hadn't, you wouldn't have cooperated. Rosaria called him a sly little leech. Her expression grew serious once again. Let me tell you what I know. She admitted, Even I don't know everything, but I will share what I do. She began explaining in detail. Once the territorial wars end, the race war will begin. The reason, those in the upper world don't want anyone from the lower worlds to gain enough power to threaten them. Specifically, the king of the upper realm doesn't want that to happen. Taeyeon listened intently, absorbing every word. The king of the upper world. There's one too. Rosaria nodded solemnly. Yes, he's like our king, a monstrous figure of the abyss wielding a fragment of God. He was the first to ascend to the upper realms and reach God. She named him plainly, the demon dragon king, Baal. Hearing that name, Taeyeon's expression hardened. The dragon, the one the king fought in No Name's memories. He asked in a hushed tone, So, those with fragments of God are fighting each other to reach God first? Rosaria shook her head. No, Baal has already reached God, but he rejected owning the fragments and betrayed the original divine. His goal is to sit in God's place. She explained further, the king was aware of this, and seeked to restore the natural order. That's why the king of the upper realm fights the king of the lower realm. Taeyeon leaned forward, voice steady. Why don't the upper realm armies attack now? Rosaria answered with a hint of mystery. There's a powerful restraint of force that prevents them from acting unless specific conditions are met. It was likely created by the king himself. Determined, Taeyeon declared, I need to defeat all the archdukes and build an army capable of opposing the upper realm. That's the key to winning this territorial war. Rosaria nodded approvingly. Do you understand now why you must fight the archdukes? She then prepared to provide crucial information. Let me explain the powers and forces wielded by each archduke. It's time to decide where will you begin. Taeyeon's eyes burned with resolve. With Orgel, there's a debt I need to settle. Rosaria warned, but Orgel controls the largest territory within the abyss. A war of attrition could be dangerous. Other archdukes will rise to challenge him. Suddenly, a subordinate burst into the chamber, frantic and trembling. My queen, important news. She presented a scroll, which Rosaria quickly examined. Her face lit up with a predatory smile. The stage is set. She turned to Taeyeon, eyes gleaming. You told me you'd take me higher, right? Now, prove that those words weren't just empty promises. The scene then shifted dramatically. In the vast, contested western territories, the dry desert roared with battle. The combatants, Grand Succubus Knight Musarian rank, SSAND, her formidable opponent, Bloodier rank. Cespludia sneered. Your master was called the weakest archduke. No wonder. Musarian shot back sharply. Don't insult my queen. Bloodia's eyes flashed with arrogance. You should have beaten, demanded your rights. This abyss demands survival of the fittest. All of us, along with our masters, will submit to me. Bloodia, the Crimson Archduke. She declared confidently, this dry desert now belongs to Lord Igman. Just as the tension reached its peak, Taeyeon arrived on the scene, a calm yet mocking smile on his face. Survival of the fittest, I like that. Bloodia's eyes widened in surprise. A human? Who are you? Taeyeon chuckled softly, hands casually in his pockets. The one you look down on so much. A mercenary serving their proud queen. The chapter starts with a narration from Bloodia. She states that most monsters born in the abyss lacked any semblance of intelligence. They were nothing more than primal beasts, driven by hunger, instinct, and destruction. They roamed, ate, slept, and ravaged without a thought beyond their base needs. But among them, there existed mutants, those rare aberrations, born with heightened powers and a flicker of consciousness. They were the chosen ones, destined to rise above the chaos, to command and dominate. Like humans and their hierarchical rankings, these mutants had their own levels, a system of tiers that determined their strength and influence. Those with certain thresholds were fated to clash, to prove their dominance in relentless battles. The abyss was a brutal arena of survival of the fittest, where only the strongest endured. I was always the one who survived, constantly fighting, killing, and climbing higher. Over and over, I toppled the so-called leaders, the rivals who stood in my way. Eventually, my territory became uncontested. No one dared challenge me anymore, until I met him, the apex predator of the abyss, one of those who called himself an archduke. That it was an overwhelming defeat, a blow so severe that it shattered all my previous victories. That day, I realized there were beings far beyond my level, beings that stood atop the hierarchy I thought I had mastered. Igman then told Bloody, and so you finally understood that there was an insurmountable gap between us. Yet, he still attacked. The maximum strength a monster could attain was decided at birth. You have met your limit. There was only one way to surpass it, to receive powers from those stronger than you. Would you serve me? Bloodia then continued her narration. Humiliation washed over me. It was a bitter taste, one I'd never known before. Yet, despite the shame, I recognized the truth. The powers I gained from that moment of humiliation were simply extraordinary. They were worth the cost. If I concealed my true intentions while serving him, if I continued to grow in silence, I could someday become an archduke myself. The scene then shifted back to Taeyeon, where the battle was going on. Bloodia was thinking to herself, but then why? Why, with such a grand dream, did I lose to a mere human, a servant of the weakest archduke, no less? Taeyeon then looked at Bloodia, his voice cold and commanding. It seemed I had won. You talked about survival of the fittest. But now, you are my prey. He paused, steadying his breath. I don't fancy eating monsters. You barged into my territory, talking about planting your flag or whatever nonsense. I couldn't let you leave either. You serve Igman. No point in talking further. Summon your boss. Bloodia's eyes blazed with defiance. No, I am Bloodia. I am not a servant. I am a monster destined to rise to the top of the abyss. Taeyeon's hand moved instinctively. He activated predation, and inwardly, he thought, I could devour her this way. I suppose. Meanwhile, the vampire who had been beaten earlier spoke up. Watching the scene unfold, that was the contractor of our queen. Taeyeon's mind processed the words as he observed them. Once SS plus ranks gave me great difficulty, but now, those memories seem distant. Just by synthesizing a fragment of God, I can now handle SSS ranks with ease. He examined his status window. Status window name, Kim Taeyeonage, 20 rank, SS strength, 306 stamina, 308 speed, 307 mana, and Patrados Lima Pula Lima charisma, 230 fatigue, 70% remaining, mana, 225, 445th unique skill predation, S. He can predetermine and predate a designated target. Mana cost, 120 regular skills. Complete hypnosis, SS, completely hypnotizes the designated target. Mana 100 blood, rampage SS, enhances physical capabilities. Mana 150, high-level monsters. Eyes SS analyzes his opponent. 9,000 system messages adjusting the mana cost of regular skill. Blood Rampage SS, adjusting the mana cost of summon. Skill Ligman SS, adjusting the mana cost of regular skill. Blood Rampage SS, adjusting the mana cost of summon skill IGM Un.SS. Taeyeon stared at his stats. Pondering the term adjusting, he thought to himself, adjusting, is this because my predation rank increased? Or because Blaja was a servant of Igmon? Either way, if I keep using predation, I can take on the missing archdukes as well. While lost in thought, exploring his growing powers, the queen's voices suddenly called out to him, and then, the imposing presence of Igmon, the vampire lord himself, materialized his figure, emerging from the shadows with a commanding aura. He spoke, voice deep and measured, so it was too much for I didn't expect much from her, but at least she succeeded in bringing you out. Taeyeon responded smoothly, how odd, I was searching for you as well. This makes my life easier. Igmon's lips curled into a sly smile. Yes, let's celebrate this reunion. Key of the King. The scene then shifts dramatically, but we find ourselves in the office of the South Korean Player Association's president. Night has fallen, and he is preparing to leave. As he gathers his belongings, he picks up a framed photograph, gazing at it with nostalgia. We were all so young back then, he murmurs, a hint of wistfulness in his voice. Reminiscing on the past, I must be getting old. Suddenly, his assistant bursts into the office hurriedly. Sir, you're still here. The president, surprised, responds, I was about to leave. Is something wrong? The assistant hurriedly explains. The Player Association, the Nightwalker Combined Investigation Team just called. There's movement at the presumed location of the Malignant Guild. They're waiting for orders from the association. Hearing this, the president's expression darkens with urgency. He immediately heads for the door. Issuing orders. Call the nationally ranked players immediately. The assistant nods but hesitates. But player Kim Taeyeon isn't back yet. We can't contact anyone in the abyss. Are we going to be alright on our own? The president's face hardens. He snaps back. Since when does the new South Korea Player Association rely so heavily on just one man, Kim Taeyeon? The assistant lowers his head in apology. As the president prepares to leave, he pauses and says, maybe it's better this way, that we handle this ourselves. Kim Taeyeon said he had business to attend to. There's a path only he can walk. I want to support that man properly. As he walks down his righteous road, we must do what we must, and keep fighting. With that, he steps out into the night.
The scene opens in a shadowy, otherworldly domain pulsating with ominous energy. The air hums with a threatening vibrance as two powerful beings face each other in a tense standoff. Igmon, the vampire lord, and Taeyeon, an ambitious human contracted with Rosaria. Igmon, with a calm, yet commanding tone, breaks the silence. We didn't even get to exchange names last time we fought. Let me formally introduce myself. I'm the vampire lord Igum, an archduke of the abyss. Taeyeon steps forward, his body tense but his gaze resolute, and responds. Kim Taeyeon, contractor of Rosaria, and the king's key. Hearing this, Igmon's lips curl into a cunning smile as he murmurs. The king's key, that better be true. His eyes glint with a mixture of amusement and menace as he continues. Then let me make you an offer. Rescind your contract with Rosaria. Come to me instead. I will treat you as one of my contractors. You will gain power and strength like never before, the likes of which have never been seen under Rosaria, and you will conquer the abyss with me. I will make you the victor of the territorial wars. Taeyeon, smirking slightly, responds. It would be you who'd be the victor. Rosaria warned me. Once the archdukes find out that I'm the key, they'll all want me, so they can become king themselves. And I can tell when you're lying. Igmon's expression darkens as he replies with a sinister smile. It would have been better if you hadn't figured that out. If you won't come on your own, I'll force you. But be warned, you won't be sound of body. He leans in slightly, voice dripping with menace. Anyway, you seem to trust Rosaria, but not me. Taehyun, unwavering, responds calmly. Of course, because Rosaria and I are equals. Igman scoffs dismissively, his tone dismissive and contemptuous. Equals? An archduke and a human? Nonsense. In the abyss, there are only dominators and the dominated. The king knew that. That's why he subjugated all the archdukes. Taehyun counters, voice steady. I'm not opposed to using force. I'd be merciful if they asked, but I know force is often necessary. He raises his hand, commanding and resolute. So, here's another offer. Serve me. Prove yourself in the coming race wars. Hearing this, Igman folds his hands, a smirk curling his lips. You're cocky. Have you forgotten you're just a key? A little brat. Suddenly, Igman attacks with a barrage of red blades, slicing through the air in a deadly storm. Taehyun, calm and composed, stares at the oncoming blades. Then, unexpectedly, all the blades shatter into fragments. Taehyun declares with conviction, "This is the last time you'll be able to treat me this way. Time for an awakening." Igman, unfazed, summons more blades, launching a furious assault once again. But Taehyun was once again able to counter it. Looking this, Igman says, "Using my authorities like it's your own, will you cease your kleptomancy only in death?" The fight intensifies, Igman's power surging, but Taehyun fights back fiercely. Taehyun then thinks to himself, I said all those things, but an archduke can't be compared to an SSS rank. Seeking Rosaria's help here would be wise. But then Taehyun's eyes narrow with determination. He leaps forward and says, "However, I want to see for myself. How far can I, having synchronized with the shard and go against an archduke?" And by this time, Taehyun had leaped in front of Igman. Both of them exchanged blows and dealt damage to hear other. They unleash a torrent of power, an impressive display of authority and skill. Then Igman says to Taehyun, using a stolen ability at this level. Not bad. To this, Taehyun says, "It's too early to be surprised. I have more than your authority." And then Taehyun uses Blood Rampage plus Monsterification, and he shatters Igman's sword. Taehyun then declares, "This is Orgul's." Igman was astonished, and he said, "What? You're combining the abilities of different archdukes." Slowly by slowly, Taehyun was dominating this battle. Igman struggles, visibly shocked remarks. To think this little brat, hiding in Rosaria's skirt, has actually become this strong. One of the onlookers remarks, "I can't believe what I'm seeing. He's making Igum struggle. Is that really a human? It feels like we're watching a battle between archdukes." Taehyun, with a wild, confident smile, taunts, "How does it feel to lose to a brat, Igum?" Rage boiling over, Igman snaps back. "Don't get cocky. You only know a fraction of my power. But that's too much to use on someone like you." He summons more swords, an increasing number of blades of greater quality, and declares, "This much should be enough to deal with you." Taehyun, undeterred, responds with unwavering resolve. "It won't be enough." He activates his ultimate move, Dragon's Fury, surrounding himself with a mana-enhanced aura. With a fierce cry, he continues, "The one who doesn't know anything is you." In a lightning-fast motion, Taehyun pierces Igman's chest with his claw and whispers, "Demonic fluids imbue mana with poison." Inside his mind, he questions, "Was I successful? Did I manage to succeed?" Blood gushes from Igman's mouth as he admits, "I admit you have surpassed my expectations. This is my defeat." Igman, coughing blood, mutters, "Right, of course. Having to give my all against you is already a defeat. I'll make you pay for this humiliation." Suddenly, Taehyun finds himself trapped within a domain, surrounded by a river of blood. Igman, with a cruel smile, proclaims, "This is the blood field. Look at the depth of power this skill reveals when not treated as child's play." Taehyun, panicked, attempts to call for Rosaria, but Igman interrupts. "Call her if you can. But do you have enough mana left?" Realization dawns on Taehyun as the blood begins absorbing his mana. Panic spreads across Taehyun's mind. "My mana is being absorbed by the blood. This was a mistake. I overreached. I can't believe this is happening." Igman, blood streaming from his mouth, declares coldly, "You will now drown in blood, slowly and painfully." Eventually, Taehyun succumbs, sinking into the crimson tide. Igman, standing over him, remarks with a sinister grin. You're so troublesome. Now, let me see what the key looks like. He raises his hand to make contact, but at that precise moment, Taehyun vanishes in a flash. Igmin, stunned, exclaims, Where did he go? Wait, something's not right. Suddenly, Taehyun's voice echoes across the domain. You might be mistaken, because this isn't your realm. It belongs to him. Igmin turns sharply, eyes narrowing. Him? You're talking like you were someone else. To this, Igmin receives the reply. Welcome to my realm, Vampire Lord. And with this, the chapter ends. Please leave a like and comment. Even commenting an emoji would do. Your comments help boost my videos. Thanks.